taking a look at what Goodreads has for me in 2016. Said I read 30 books, which was my challenge, and a little over 9,000 pages, which in actuality I really read more than that. So the shortest book was Disney's Poor Unfortunate Soul, and the longest book was also Disney related, The Keys to the Kingdom. Something about this book, I actually started reading that book in September of 2015. So it actually took me over a year to read. It was a very slow read. Kind of read like a newspaper article and like court transcripts. So it was very slow, but very informative. My most popular, which I have the second book, I have not read it yet, and the least popular was Keys to the Kingdom. Most people, would not care about reading a book like that. My average rating was just over 3. I gave only a few books like a 2, and a little more than a few a 4. The highest rated Goodreads book, yes, I loved this book. I love Susan Branch. I just love her travels and her watercolors. She writes like a journal, and they're beautiful books. All right, so here is a list of the books that I actually put on Goodreads. And I believe they are in order of how I finished them. And actually, Simply Tuesday and I Long for Paris were very fast reads. This Da Vinci's Tiger, I believe, was an Owl Crate subscription box book. Oh, so was Worlds, Ink and Shadow, except I couldn't find the actual cover that Owl Crate sent. So this is a different cover. And The Love That Split the World, that was a little unusual. Thunderdog, oh my goodness, true story based on a dog that survived the attacks on the Twin Towers. He actually led his owner out. Wonderful story. I boo-hooed, just boo-hooed. All right, Jen Lancaster, she is hilarious. This book was, funny. Funny is all I can say about this. I will definitely read more by Jen Lancaster. The Midwife's Revolt. Gosh, I don't even remember much about the book. Oh, I think was she a midwife? I think she was. I think that book was pretty good. And The Case of the Missing Books. That was a library book I checked out. Pretty quick read. And it was so-so. Jimmy Buffett, A Pirate Looks at 50. Jimmy Buffett's just a great entrepreneur, and his life has just been a whirlwind. So I always enjoy reading his books. And I can't even see what this one is. I think it has something to do with reading and books. Let's see. Having a Martha Home in a Merry Way. I thought... I'm so naive. And I should have known by the author, Sarah May, that it would be like a Christian book. I thought they meant Martha as in Martha Stewart. She meant Martha from the Bible. I felt like such a doofus, but it was a good book. Carol Higgins Clark, Mobbed. I haven't read something by her in such a long time, but somebody had given me the book, and I told her I would read it, and it was fine. Typical Carol Higgins Clark. And oh my gosh, I do not live far from the Biltmore House. I do live in North Carolina. So I had to get this just because it was, a fictional story based at the Biltmore House, and it was just, I liked the book. My sister, not so much. I enjoyed it. Okay, so we're back to Susan Branch, which I've already said. I love the book. Reading Matters. My husband actually brought this home for me from the school library. And since I do homeschool my son, I do like to read anything on reading and teaching about reading. Laura Lamont's Life in Pictures. That was a quick read, and I'd probably read something by that author again. 1 Fifth Avenue. That was typical, Sex and the City type book. Quite humorous at how some people, could live their lives, and I'm sure some people do. The World's Strongest Librarian. This was actually based off a true story. A guy wrote this who has, he grew up as a Mormon, and it just kind of, but he also grew up with, oh my goodness, Tourette syndrome? Is that where you have a lot of tics? Not as in ticks, as in creatures crawling on you. Tics as in body tics. Involuntary movement. And it was very, very interesting. He ended up a big, huge guy, and he ended up being a librarian. But it was hard for him at first to, keep a job because of his, that syndrome that he has. The Beast Within, based off, the Disney story Beauty and the Beast, kind of like a before this is how the Beast became the Beast. And that was very interesting. Beth Moore got this book as soon as it came out. Very thick book. I was very surprised that this was not the largest book, not the Keys to the Kingdom. I'm really going to have to go back and check the pages on this, because I swear that book was bigger. And this was her first fiction. She's a Christian writer, normally only writes nonfiction, self-help, that type of thing. But this was her first novel, and it was very good. I enjoyed the book. The Anatomy of Ghost. Okay, I do remember this one. You got to think, I read several books at a time, so I forget sometimes. The Anatomy of Ghost was a very, very interesting book. I got it mainly because I think I got it at a thrift store maybe, and just the cover of it intrigued me. I am a cover buyer, no doubt. I judge a book by its cover, which you really shouldn't do, but I did enjoy the book and would actually read something else by Andrew Taylor if I come across it. The Morning Bells by Christine Trent. The woman is an female undertaker in the Victorian era, and she solves some mysteries. And I think this is not the first book in the series, so I need to, or the trilogy, I need to check out her other books because it did keep me interested. Acts of Mischief in Children's Literature, Wild Things. Oh, I love this book. The references that, classic references that this book has, and just stories about books that were banned, things I couldn't just believe. I'll have to go into that detail later about that. Best Ever State by Dave Barry. It has to do with Florida, and I got it just because I travel to Florida a lot, and it just looked very humorous, and it was a very, it just hit on some of the places that most people, are not common places you would visit in Florida. So very, it was interesting enough. Tales from the Haunted Mansion. I actually bought this at Disney World. I love the Haunted Mansion attraction and love Disney World. I was very disappointed with this book. Even my 13-year-old son lost interest in it. My 12-year-old son lost interest in it very quickly. I kept it because I collect Haunted Mansion memorabilia, but if they come out with another one, I probably won't get it. Poor Unfortunate Soul, another version of how Ursula from The Little Mermaid became what she is in the story, basically. The Dew Breaker, my daughter had to read this for school, and she was like, oh, you have to read this book, so we can talk about it. I don't know what her fascination was with the book. It was only so-so for me. I have just punched in my 2017 reading challenge. I'm going to go up to 35 books. Every year I do go up. I looked back, and of course I finished my 2016. 30 books was my goal. 2014. What happened to 2015? I don't know. Why is that not showing? 2014, I read 28 of the 28. That was my goal. In 2013, I read 26 of my 25 books that were my goal. And I keep going up every year. I really underestimated it because each year I actually read more books than what's on here. I'll go through that later. But I have just entered my 2017 total. Or want to be total. My goal. That's the word I'm looking for. My goal.